Hello, everyone. Hello. I'm not sure if I'm live yet. It's kind of tricky sometimes to tell exactly when you've gone live. Okay. All right, so I see that I have someone that has joined me. Hello. All right. Well, today I wanted to come on and chat about the importance of a primer or using a makeup primer. Hey, Cassandra. Hey, Sandy. How are you? And I know a lot of times we've heard about makeup primers and we don't really know what's the benefit of using it. You know, I've been around for a long time. I've never used a makeup primer, so why do I have to use one now? Well, you know, as we get older, we learn more and we do better. Hey, Shan, how are you? And so as we learn more, we do better. So I want to share with you a little bit of the importance of a primer. I just started using a primer, let's see, within the last 2 years, and I've seen that has made a difference in when I apply my makeup. So I'm going to use a mist primer right here. I'm going to spray it on. And I'm going to let it set into my skin. Now, what's the benefit of a primer? It's going to create a smooth application. It's going to create a smooth surface for your makeup. Okay. A lot of times when we put on our makeup, sometimes, you know, it doesn't set well on our skin, but using a primer really does help create that nice smooth surface for your skin. Also, if you're someone that has large pores, okay, in this area, and I actually do have some large pores in this area, well, a makeup primer helps make it less visible, all right? So when you start putting on that foundation, and typically you put on primer before you do foundation. So if you put it on before, it's going to help, you know, close up those pores, make them less visible, so that's helpful. So as I'm chatting with you, I am going to put on some makeup. So my primer is drying right now, and I'm going to put on some of our, some concealer first. Now, I do the concealer because I recently had a breakout back in December, and I have some spots on my skin, and I've started treating it again. You know, when you're sick, you have a bad cold, you know, you just kind of get really lazy about doing things. But anyway, I'm back treating my skin, back on my skincare routine, and all is well. So I'm going to just spot those areas with our concealer. Our concealer is waterproof. So back to primer. So when you use a primer, it does make your makeup stay on longer, which is good. So, you know, if you're in those areas where, if you are someone that sweats a lot, or if you're just sweating, just in general, and you start to wipe your face, you know, then you notice that some of your makeup has gone away. Well, a makeup primer helps to kind of keep your makeup on longer. So like I said, I'm just kind of spotting those areas that I have some breakouts. So I want to thank you all for joining me last week. You know, that was my second live. And it went really well, and I got lots of positive and feedback, so I really appreciate you all for doing that. But moving on with my primer, another thing that it does, it reduces shine. So if you're someone that has oily skin and you shiny, and you want to reduce that, then a makeup primer is going to reduce that. So what I'm going to now put on is our wax-based foundation. As I mentioned before, the wax-based foundations, they're not heavy. Even though you hear the word wax, you're thinking it's heavy, but it's not heavy. It's not greasy at all, but you do have to be mindful of how much you put on your brush or your blender, because our makeup is highly pigmented. You can put it on and then you might feel like, oh my gosh, I have too much makeup on, but you can really, you know, determine how much coverage you want by how much you put on your brush. So always less is more. So I'm just going to tap it in, and I'm just going to buff it in gently. Like I said, I love the wax-based foundation. Now that I've learned how to use it, because initially, you know, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have too much makeup on my face. And I like to stay as natural as possible. I don't believe in putting on a lot of makeup, you know, and sometimes, you know, you have to kind of be mindful of the trends and what you see with makeup, and you want to, of course, always stay age appropriate, and that is me. But what I like to do is share with you all little tips and tricks that I learned along the way, so I can, you know, let you all know how easy it is. It's not as difficult as it may seem to be. Another thing that it does when you put on a primer is that, you know, if you are someone that has a lot of acne, it will help reduce the appearance of acne, and you know, that's always a good thing. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a little bit of my benign powder just right here in my T-zone area. Now I do use a translucent powder that we have as well, but today I'm going to use a little bit of my translucent powder. And I tend to do this when I want to do a little quick highlighting of my face, but I don't want to use any concealer or any type of foundation. Now when you do that, you want to go in a V shape because it's going to help draw out your eyes. So I have that right there. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to be using this palette right here to put on some eyeshadows. So another benefit of using a primer is that it does intensify the colors, eyeshadow colors. I'm going to show you that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to spray a little bit of my primer into my cap. Actually, I'm going to also do my eyebrows really quickly. Alright. So using the same palette right here, I'm going to use the dark brown and I'm going to do my eyebrows. So I put a little bit of the primer on my brush, and let me just... Hey Nancy, how are you? Mr. Anderson, Tommy, what's up? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a little bit of the shadow on my brush, and then I am going to just go on the same outline of my lash, my brow, I'm sorry, of my brow on the bottom, and you have to kind of be light with it. Okay. All right. And then what I like to do for the top part is I like to just hold my brow up a little bit and just kind of create just a little bit of a peak. Like I mentioned before, I like using the powder because it keeps it natural. Okay. And then for the middle here, and don't worry if you mess up, I'm going to clean it up a little bit. For the beginning of my brow, I'm just going to tap it in lightly. Okay, so you can see the difference in your brows. I'm going to do the other one, and like I said, I'm going to go back and I'm going to clean it up a little bit. And be mindful too, y'all, when you're doing your brows, don't bring it down way down here, okay? Sometimes we get in the habit and we're just drawing away, and next thing you know, we are like way down. Okay, and then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to tap a little bit. So when you're using the primer with your shadows, it's going to intensify the color. So you have to be mindful of that because, you know, it can come out really dark, and so you have to just be mindful of that. I am, however, going to use some of my concealer and just clean it up a little bit. So you see the difference when you do your brows, you know. Be mindful when you do your brows. You want to start from your middle of your nose and go up to where it meets right here, okay? A lot of us have the tendency to go way back here, start back here, and this is all that I tapped in, right? And, you know, look at pictures. Sometimes you see like your brow is starting way back here, and it should be right here, all right? If you've been doing it back that way, that far back, it does take some getting used to. So, you know, that's okay, but, you know, work on trying to bring it forward up a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is just kind of sharpen it up a little bit, right? I like to use the same color as my skin color. Some like to make it like a little glowy, highlighted brows. I like to, you know, for me, keep it age appropriate and not too highlighted. And then I like it to look as natural as possible too. And I just kind of blend it down a little bit. So we have some exciting things happening here in Atlanta. We have the playoffs that are going to be beginning shortly. Okay, so that's that. Then I'm just going to, using the same palette, I'm going to use this tan, and I'm going to just do just a quick brush over my eye, just to even it out. So you see how it's evened out as opposed to this one. So just a neutral color to start your shadow with, and take it all the way to the top. When you put on a primer too, it does help keep your face hydrated. You don't look as ashy or as dried out. So that's another benefit of using a primer. And a primer is very easy to apply. So, you know, either you can squirt it on, you know, with a spray bottle, or if you know, depending on what you get, you can use a bottle that has the cream version of a primer. But something I learned is that if you do use a cream primer, then you want to put it on with a blender full or a sponge of some sort, so that you kind of, you know, the areas that you're trying to, you know, really work on priming, that you seal those areas very well, okay? Instead of just kind of rubbing it around your face, you know, just use one of these and kind of like pat it in those areas, okay? All right. So next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the difference of using a primer and not using a primer when you do your shadows. And it's just, you know, how you're feeling that day. You might not want to use a primer to intensify your shadow color. But I'm going to use this gold color right in here. And I'm just going to pat it on. And remember, I said that I have one of those hooded eyes, so I actually have to go a little higher when I apply shadow, just to give the appearance that I don't have that hood. So I'm going to go up a little bit, okay, just a little bit. All right, and do the other eye. This is a gold color. I don't know if you can really see the color. Can you all see the color at all? Yes, Nancy, it's a must-have. It's so a must-have. Now, as we're doing it, so I got my shadow on. It's a gold color. Okay. Then what I do is I go next and I do go in with my darker color, and I want to create a little shading, a little definition, really quickly. And I'm going to create like a little triangle, just like this. Okay. And I'm going to just pack it in. And remember I said I'm going to share with you how to do your blending. I'm going to show you that, a really quick tip on that. So we'll pack it in right here. We'll do the other side. Do a little, like a little V. Let's say a little V. Pack it in just like that. Okay, so this, you know, you see this, you're like, oh, this is harsh, right? But one of the things that you do when you're trying to kind of blend your shadows together, you're going to use a nice fluffy brush or a blending one for shadows, and you're gonna to carry when you start to blend. You want to use the brush and go left to right to carry the product that you just put on, okay? Left to right, right to left, swoops, okay? To carry the product, just like that. Same with this side, you're gonna do the same thing. To carry the product, you're gonna go left and right. All right. Now, when it's time to left to right to carry the product, when it's time to blend, what you're gonna do, you're gonna do circles. So blending is circles. Carry the product left and right. When you start to blend, you're gonna do circles. Okay, that's gonna start taking away the harsh line that you have. Okay. Now what I like to do when I do some shading, I like to like warm it up, especially during the daytime. I'll add a little bit of this red color right here just to kind of warm it up. So same thing, I'm gonna put a little bit in here to carry the product. I'm gonna go left and right. So you can still do that smoky eye, you know, shading that you want to do, and during the day, you don't have to be at night, but you just want to warm it up with another color. And then you want to blend. Do the circle motions and blend it in. All right, so now what I'm going to do real quickly is I'm going to show you how I'm going to intensify this color here. I'm going to dip my brush back into my primer. I sprayed a little bit of primer in here in my cap, and I'm going to go back in to the gold color, and I'm going to tap it on. See that? So you wonder sometimes how when you're looking at you look at a magazine, you buy the color, you see a fabulous color, you buy it, and then you're like, it doesn't look like, you know, what I've seen, you know, in the magazine. Why is my color not popping? All right, well, it's not popping because you need some primer. And this is just a great example to show you. Hey, Karina. How you can intensify the color. Now, both eyes have the gold on, but with a little bit of the primer, it's helping to bring out the color. See that? And of course, I'm going to go back in and blend it out. And you know, sometimes if you look, they do have primers that are tinted. So even if you like going to the gym and you don't want to put on the makeup on, but you want to put on some primer, some moisturizer, and just, you know, have your face set, then you can do that as well with the tinted ones. So do you see how it totally intensifies the color? And remember I said when you do circular motions, you kind of blend everything in, okay? All right. And next what I'm gonna do is for my eyes is my liquid liner. I have my mirror this time so I can do it a little better than last week. Okay, so I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go in. All right, so you see how just adding a liquid liner really adds a little bit of drama, a little bit of sexiness to your eyes. Do you see that? Okay. Absolutely, you see that. And you know, I wasn't really someone that wore a lot of liquid liner growing up, but as I've learned how to use it and how to put it on, I can see how it is a highly liked product, and that's why you see so many pictures now with people with their liquid liners on and their wings. So I just start on the outside and I go in. Okay, do y'all see that? And this, I love this liquid liner because it helps you stay very precise. You think so? Oh my gosh, Karina, no, I'm just, you know. And what I try not to do, y'all, I try not to pull. Okay, we don't want to pull because then, you know, later on in life, it's going to show that you've been pulling on your eyes and you don't want to do that, all right? But do you see the difference in using a primer on these shadows here? Oh, yes. All right. So that's it for the liquid liner. I survived that one. Then I'm going to put on some mascara. Our mascara is one tube. It has fibers already in it. The way I like to do it to maximize the lash is that I will just put on and pull it up, wiggle up, wiggle up. And I like to do 2 coats, and then I also go down, so I brush my lash down as well. I get some more mascara. I wiggle up. So when you're using mascara, to get some length and some volume out your lash, just wiggle up, pull it up, pull it up. And then I go down as well. Okay, so that's just one coat. I know I get questions all the time about if I have little falsies on, and I'm like, no, I don't. It's just, I just use mascara, and my mascara has fibers, so it helps. So I don't know, can you see that? Hey, Naaman. All right. And then I'm going to put on a little bit of blush. I use our Alive blush, and I just go a little circular motion. And this kind of helps, so you know when you have, and the reason why we wear that blush is because sometimes when you put on our foundation, put the powders on, our face looks a little washed out, and then when you add in a little blush, it just kind of brings you back to life, and you're like, yes, I got a little color. So this is what that's for. Just adding a little color back in. And then I'm going to put on one of our enduring lip colors. So we have two reds that I really, really like. This is a super bright red. It's called Candy Apple, and this is our a little darker red, and it's called Cherry Pie. I'm going for the super bright, may I add. I love our enduring lip colors. They go on like butter, and it's a liquid lipstick, but it dries to a matte finish. And it's long wearing, long lasting, and it you don't have to really worry about your lips drying out. But what I do anyway before I put on any lip color is I try to hydrate my lips before I begin even doing my face, so that when I put my lipstick on or my enduring lip color, my lips are already moist. And some people do not like wearing red, but oh my gosh, and that was me. I was someone that loved like an orangey color. But if you find the right red, you can rock it. You can totally rock it. And it has a little, the shape of it is called a doe foot, and it helps kind of line your lips. All right. And the last thing I'm gonna do, guys, is to take off my Ben Nye powder that I put on. And there you have it. So thank you all for joining me today as I share the benefits of a primer. If you have any questions about a primer, then definitely let me know. But if you haven't tried using a primer before, I highly suggest that you do, and you will see a difference in your makeup. I will be back next week to share more good tips and tricks about makeup. Bye for now.